Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. For today's video, we're actually going to be watching a real-life sociopath in action, and I'm talking about none other than Chrystia Freeland, our finance minister. Now, last week on Thursday, she was, I guess, invited to the committee, which she accepted to come, and this is how it began.
We are starting with MP Holland, please.
Thank you, Chair. Minister, do you have faith in the parliamentary budgeting officer?
Certainly, and I also have faith in the Calgary business community. I was in Calgary just 6 days ago, and I met with representatives of the oil and gas sector and of the renewable sector, and they told me specifically, get Bill C-59 passed now, we need those tax credits. I know you're an MP from Calgary, so I thought you'd like to know that.
Minister, do you believe in his economic and fiscal analysis of the impact of your carbon tax?
What I know, what study after study has shown, is that the price on pollution delivers, and our carbon rebates put more money in the pockets of 8 out of 10 Canadians. For people in Alberta, the province you are so fortunate to represent, it's going to be $1,800 per family.
And what is the cost of the carbon tax every year if there's an $1,800 rebate?
The question that I think Conservatives need to answer is, what is the cost to Canada of not having an environmental plan, of not having a carbon plan?
Now, we're not even 2 minutes in, and she's already starting the whole non-answer answer situation. And she does this throughout the whole video every time she's questioned, especially by the Conservatives. But what's super frustrating is if she didn't want to answer these questions, then she shouldn't have accepted the invitation to be here. Because as a parliamentary minister, you technically don't need to come to these committee hearings. If we actually take a look at this government website that Justin Trudeau released, says parliamentary committees enroll department officials. It states, public servants do not share in ministers' constitutional accountability to the parliament, but support ministers in this accountability. This includes appearing before parliamentary committees on behalf of their ministers to answer questions or provide information that ministers could not be expected to provide personally. So if she didn't want to answer these questions, she could have sent somebody else, like the guy who's sitting beside her, to answer these questions in her place. But her taking the time to come in and saying she will sit down and answer these questions, she then has to answer these questions open and honestly. And funny enough, this website is actually called Open and Accountable Government, which again was released back in 2015. But clearly, the Liberals aren't doing that. And every time Freeland gets asked a question, in particular about the finance and the carbon tax, these are the answers that she gives.
I was very glad to be outside of Edmonton at the end of last year to announce the multi-billion-dollar Dow investment. And the CEO of Dow said it is thanks to Canada's pollution pricing system and our tax credits, two of which we're debating
Minister,
today, that they made that multi-billion-dollar investment that's creating jobs for people in Alberta.
I know Alberta speeding authorities know very well that you were in Edmonton last year as well.
Now, I just want to jump in here again, because if you missed what Holland said, who's usually not at these committee hearings, it's very rare to see him. He actually took a jab at her because of this incident that happened last year when she was in Alberta.
I'm wondering what your reaction is to the leak about your speeding ticket, and do you have concerns about the fact that that was leaked publicly?
So, look, I did get a speeding ticket driving between Grand Prairie and Peace River. I was driving too fast, and I won't do it again.
Now, I find it hilarious that nobody point of ordered Holland on this comment, because, again, he did take kind of a pot shot at her. But it was just so funny that nobody else picked up on that, it seemed. But those kind of things made the rest of this video kind of bearable, as you're going to hear the rest of her rambling throughout this now.
And according to your own environmental department, they said they don't track how much emissions are reduced by your carbon tax. So there's no actual data. But I'll ask you once again. You said that an average Alberta family gets $1,800 in rebates. How much is the cost to an average Alberta family according to the PBO?
Let me quote an important document. Our plan will ensure that all Canadians can do their part to fight climate change in a way that works best for them at a carbon price that is increasing to $50 a ton. We will assess progress so carbon prices can be on a path to $170 a ton. I know those words are familiar to you, Mr. Halan, because they were in the Conservative 2021 election platform that you ran on. And so all of us here were elected, every single person here was elected with a commitment to put a price on pollution. That is something we all need to do because our economy needs it. Investment,
so, Minister,
investors
I just
require
asked
it.
for a number, and since you're not providing it, it's actually the cost is $2,900 to an average family, and according to you and the PBO, $1,800 is the rebate, which leaves Canadian Albertan families in the hole after your so-called phony rebates. Albertan families will pay more into it. Now, you're a member from Ontario. Can you tell us how much an Ontario family will pay into the carbon tax?
Mr. Halan, let me first take issue with the notion that there is anything phony about the $1,800 that Alberta families will be receiving this year. Those are $1,800 directly into the pockets, into the bank accounts of hardworking Alberta families. They will make a real difference to Alberta families. There is nothing phony at all about that.
I just need the number, Minister. How much does an Ontario family pay into the carbon tax?
Ontario families will be getting a rebate this year of more than $1,100, and that is also money directly into the pockets of Ontario families. And I can tell you something else.
So Minister,
the province
sorry,
of Ontario
I'll have to correct
is benefiting
you I only have a
from
limited amount of time. An Ontario family will pay $1,600 into this carbon tax. They get a $1,000 rebate. So on average, they'll pay into this carbon tax scam $600. So I just wanted to clear that up according to the PBO. Also, I want to move on. Do you not agree with the 70% of Canadians and premiers, including a Liberal premier and other Liberal parties, that your carbon tax increase on April 1st should be paused, that there should be a spike on that hike?
So we're the Finance Committee. Precision in numbers is important. And let me just be precise that Ontario families this year will be getting $1,120 in an absolutely real rebate that is making a difference to them.
Not
and
according to the PBO.
The other thing that is making a difference to Ontario families is the fact that thanks to Canada's climate action policies, we are able to attract inward investment. The investments in EV plants.
Now, this lady is completely out to lunch. She seems offended that they say phony when it actually is a phony rebate. She then goes to talk about these EV plants, which EV is not going to be as big as it is. We've already covered this in another video. A lot of Canadians don't even see EV as the future. One, we don't have a grid for it.
This is the shitty thing they don't tell you about electric cars. When you want to go ahead and charge it, you have to wait at these public charging stations. They all don't actually charge at 350 kilowatts like this car is rated. This is the Ioniq 6. And you have to wait. And these cars are going to take a long time. We're just sitting here. We're behind an ID4 who needs to wait. And now we're just waiting in here. I don't know how long this is going to take to charge up the vehicle. But once I get plugged in, then I have to wait. And I'm not going to be able to charge this vehicle at 350 kilowatt hours. I can only charge it at 50 kilowatt hours because that's all these charging stations support. This is annoying. And this is why I don't think electric cars are ready for prime time yet. The infrastructure is just not there. I don't know how long I'm going to be here for, but it's going to be a while.
Two rural areas wouldn't be able to survive off of EVs. They still need fuel and oil and all that good stuff.
This is exactly why electric charging sucks still and electric cars are still bad. We're in line behind three other people for this Electrify America network right here. And there's a bus there. 2 cars are here. and we basically can't go anywhere. We're going to be waiting here another hour or so just to get in, and then it's going to take another 30 minutes to charge if we are lucky. If we are lucky, it'll take us 30 minutes to charge. But this is exactly why I'm so happy when we want a hybrid vehicle, because we don't have to deal with this. We're on a road trip and we're stuck behind all of these vehicles, and then there's this bus that's also electric that's just chilling there, and I don't know how long we're going to be here for, but we're in the middle of nowhere, and this is what we got to deal with right now on the road trip.
And then she talks about how they are the financial department and that numbers are important, yet all they keep doing is espouting false numbers. Now, throughout that whole first portion, you can see she just filibusters, ring around the rosies, doesn't answer anything actually honestly. And I don't understand. Well, I mean, I do understand why the chair didn't press her on answering the question, because the chair is also a liberal. But it's the job of the chair to kind of bring the conversation back and tell the people who are at the committee, you're here to answer questions. You need to answer them. You're being asked a certain question. You need to give a proper response to them. But never does the chair intervene. Never does the chair actually adhere to the time. He lets them go over. He lets the minister answer over. He's just a very poor chair, in my opinion. And you'll see a demonstration of what I'm talking about in the next clip when another conservative is asking Freeland questions. She again refuses to answer them. And as he's continuously trying to tell her, Minister, you need to answer. I have limited time. She just keeps talking over him and doesn't allow the guy to ask his question.
We're starting with MP Morantz, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Minister, how much has the government collected in carbon taxes since you implemented it?
I didn't hear the last question. The last part of the question.
How much has the government collected in carbon taxes since it was implemented?
So thanks for the question, and it gives me an opportunity to be really clear about the price on pollution. This is revenue neutral. All the money that is collected,
it was a pretty specific
all
question.
The money that is
just
collected
the number, how
goes
much
back directly to Canadians.
I only have limited time, Minister.
That is the key point.
How much has your government collected in carbon taxes?
Also an opportunity for me to point out that Manitoba families will be getting $1,200 this year.
Again, Minister, if I could just have the number, how much have you collected in carbon taxes?
The key point, which Conservatives consistently are trying to keep from Canadians, is that the price on pollution is completely revenue neutral.
Minister, it's a very straightforward question. Canadians want the answer
the money
to.
does not go into general revenues. It is returned to Canadians.
What is the dollar value of all carbon taxes collected since the tax was implemented?
The key point is that is money in the pockets of Canadians. For Manitoba families this year, it's going to be $1,200. That is making a real difference.
Just the number, Minister. How much has the government actually collected in carbon taxes?
As I said, the key point is it's all money that goes back to Canadians. It goes back to your constituents, my constituents, Daniel's constituents.
With the greatest of respect, it's not revenue
Halland's
neutral. In fact, the estimates, no, the Minister, the estimates say that you refuse to answer with giving accurate information, Minister. The government's own financial documents, your main estimates show that you've collected $20.7 billion in carbon taxes and has only paid out $18.6 billion since the carbon tax took effect. Oh, your government has collected over $2 billion out of the pockets of Canadians since the tax was implemented that you have not paid back. That's from your own main estimate. So will you correct the record and
Mr.
admit
Morantz,
the truth?
No, it is 100% revenue neutral, and I'm
glad. Are you
saying
saying the main estimates are wrong?
I am saying that is money that is being held for small businesses, and small businesses will have good news soon because that money is going to be returned to them, as we have committed to from day one.
Okay. You mentioned that Premier...
That's just true. And I do want to thank Winnipeg's own Dan Kelly for the work that he's been doing with us on that.
Dan Kelly completely disagrees with you. But aside from that, you mentioned what a great job Premier Canoe is doing. Premier Canoe, when he got elected, and he's an NDP premier. We disagree on many, many things. But he recognized that Manitobans are suffering with the high cost of living. You know the very first thing that he did when he got into office? He cut the provincial gas tax by 14 cents. And he said it's because Manitobans are having trouble affording just to live. Why are you increasing the carbon tax at the very time Canadians are experiencing an affordability crisis, unlike what Premier Canoe has done?
So there's a lot we disagree on, but I'm glad we can agree that Premier Canoe is off to an excellent start as the
So will
leader
you follow
of
his example
Manitoba.
then and pause the increase in the carbon tax?
One of the things I admire about his leadership is his commitment to a climate plan for Manitoba, because he knows that that is an essential foundation of
But why won't
attracting
you follow
investment
his example
and good
and
jobs
actually
in Manitoba?
take the jackboots off the necks of Canadians?
I must say that that language is entirely inappropriate when we're talking about a democracy.
Well,
I began by talking about Prime Minister Mulroney and the exceptional courage he showed in recognizing Ukrainian independence. There are people in the world right now who do have real dictatorships oppressing them, like the people of Ukraine. And to use that language, talking about a government policy you disagree with, is entirely inappropriate and cheapens our discourse and our democracy.
As if this woman actually cares about our democracy. He states later on that 70% of Canadians, 7 premiers, all want the carbon tax gone. If we were talking about democracy, well, majority would rule. Bring it to a vote. That's how we do it in the democratic society. That's how we do it with legislature. We vote on it and majority rules. So you're not even acknowledging democracy, but you want to somehow be offended by the word or the metaphor of a boot on somebody's neck, and then bring it back to the Ukraine to virtue signal with your pin and your hurt feelings. It's just utter nonsense. But as always, this is just my opinion. Sorry you had to watch so much of Freeland, but let me know in the comment section below what you guys thought about this. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Thanks so much.